Mariah Blake stood outside the school gates as the last sliver of sunset bled across the sky. Her phone buzzed 9:12 p.m. The tutoring session had run late again, and the usual bus stop at the corner of Beachmont and 3rd was empty. Cold wind gnawed at her hoodie, and the surrounding suburban silence felt unusually oppressive. No cars passed. The school behind her was already swallowed by darkness. She tapped her phone screen, battery at 7%. She glanced up the road. Nothing. Then she heard it, a low growl of an engine. Headlights flared in the distance. A bus rolled toward her, though the route number was unreadable behind dusty glass. As it pulled up with a pneumatic hiss, she noticed a sign on its side, Line 113 westbound. But there was no westbound line, not in this town. Still, the doors creaked open, beckoning. Inside, the bus was mostly empty. Mariah hesitated, then climbed aboard. The driver, a man with sunken cheeks and opaque glasses, nodded without speaking. His eyes never met hers. The air inside smelled faintly of metal and mildew, and the interior lights flickered inconsistently. She scanned the passengers, a woman cradling a black-veiled bundle, a teenager who stared blankly at the ceiling, and a middle-aged man muttering into his lap. No one moved. No one acknowledged her. She sat near the back, just above the wheel. Her reflection in the window stared back, but something was off. Its expression was a split second late, and the eyes were just a bit too wide. Image prompt 2. Inside a dimly lit, vintage bus with cracked vinyl seats and flickering overhead lights. A teenage girl sits near the back, looking uneasy. The driver has a pale, gaunt face and wears dark, reflective glasses. Other passengers appear unnatural. One holds a shrouded bundle. Another mutters to himself, and one stares lifelessly at the ceiling. The windows reflect strange, slightly delayed versions of the people inside. The bus moved, but something was wrong. Outside the windows, familiar streets gave way to narrow lanes lined with towering trees. The streetlights vanished. The road twisted in ways that defied the town's layout. Mariah pulled out her phone. No signal, no GPS. The screen froze, then turned black. Panic prickled her skin. She rose to ask the driver where they were going, but the aisle stretched longer than it had before. No matter how many steps she took, the front of the bus didn't get closer. She turned back, and her seat was now gone. So were the other passengers. She was alone. Finally, impossibly, she reached the front. The driver sat still, both hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead. She tried to speak, but her voice came out garbled, as if underwater. He turned slowly, mechanically. His mouth didn't move, but she heard his voice inside her head. You were meant to get on this bus, child. It don't go nowhere people come back from. Mariah stumbled back, her breath catching. She turned to both of the doors, but they had fused shut, not locked, fused, as though melted together. The world outside shifted violently. Trees twisted. The sky turned a sickly shade of green. The road was no longer a road. It was something alive. Without warning, the bus jolted. The lights flickered off. When they came back on, the bus was parked in the center of a town she didn't recognize. Cobblestone streets, flickering lanterns. No cars, no people. Without warning, the bus jolted. The lights flickered off. When they came back on, the bus was parked in the center of a town she didn't recognize. Cobblestone streets, flickering lanterns. No cars, no people. Mariah stepped off, shaking. The air smelled of mold and ash. Every building looked lived in, yet no light shone inside. The town felt paused, like a film reel stuck between frames. As she walked forward, a whisper echoed down the alley beside her. You took the wrong ride. Now you belong to us. She turned sharply, but no one was there, just a shadow that didn't move with the wind. As she walked forward, a whisper echoed down the alley beside her. You took the wrong ride. Now you belong to us. She turned sharply, but no one was there, just a shadow that didn't move with the wind. A voice called out from a shop across the square. Mariah? She spun around. An old man stood beneath a broken sign, reading Bailey's Watch Repair. His hands trembled, but his eyes were familiar. "You shouldn't be here. Not you. I remember you. I tried to stop you years ago. You took this bus before. You just don't remember." Her throat tightened. "What do you mean?" "The bus. It comes for people who stray too far from their path. The ones who wander when they shouldn't. It loops time. Feeds on lost choices. You've ridden it before, Mariah. We all have." He opened his palm, and it was a cracked pocket watch with her name engraved inside. She took a step back. As the man spoke, the streetlights dimmed one by one, as if something massive were blocking the stars. A low hum vibrated through the ground. He grabbed her shoulder. "You have to find the mirror. It's the only way back. But you mustn't." The light cut out. The man vanished. Gone. No sound. No scream. Just the cracked watch hitting the cobblestone. Behind her, footsteps echoed. Not human ones. The footsteps behind her stopped. Mariah spun around. No one was there, but the cobblestones where the steps had echoed were wet, slick with a thick, dark fluid. Not blood, not water. Something between the two. Her fingers tightened around the cracked pocket watch. It ticked now, slowly out of rhythm with time itself. Tick, 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 tick. The silence roared in her ears. Then she heard it, faint, whispering voices from the fog, speaking in circles. One phrase repeated itself. "Find the mirror before it finds you." She ran. Her sneakers pounded against the stone as she turned corners, trying to get anywhere that looked remotely safe. Then, out of the whitewash of fog, a house appeared. It was tall, made of warped wood and old brick, its windows blackened like dead eyes. She ran up the steps, but there was no door, just a blank, rotting wall where a door should have been. She backed away slowly, noticing the windows watching her. Not figuratively, actually watching. One blinked. Her breath caught. She turned and nearly crashed into a courtyard. In its center stood four statues, figures carved in exquisite detail, each frozen in an expression of fear. One looked just like the bus driver. Another resembled the old man from the watch shop. As she walked past them, the statues whispered, not from mouths, but from within. They tried to leave. It watches all exits. The mirror is buried beneath the silent bell. Don't let the town see you cry. Mariah stepped back, eyes wide. The statues turned to face her, following the whisper's cryptic clue. She found it, an ancient chapel with shattered stained glass windows and a bell tower rising above it like a blackened tooth. The bell inside was enormous, cast of dark metal, but it hung eerily still. Not even a cobweb moved. She climbed the spiral staircase, each step groaning with age. When she reached the top, she noticed something beneath the bell's platform, boards loose, nailed in hastily. She pried them apart with shaking hands. Below was a hidden chamber. Inside, a mirror, framed in rusted iron. But the glass wasn't reflective. It was alive, swirling, pulsing like breathing flesh. It showed not a reflection, but other versions of her, all of them terrified. As she reached toward the mirror, one version of herself inside turned directly toward her. It smiled, but not kindly. It mouthed a single word, "Stay." A blast of wind surged up the tower. The bell swayed, groaning loudly. Then she heard footsteps climbing the stairs. Someone or something was coming. The other reflection started banging against the inside of the mirror, screaming without sound. Their fists left no cracks, just ripples. Mariah backed away, tears brimming. She turned to run, but the staircase was gone. There was no way down. The glass rippled and spoke, not aloud, but inside her head. Step through, be free, or stay here, be one of them. She didn't know who them was. The statues, the reflections, the other passengers on that cursed bus. Her hand reached out. The surface felt warm. It pulled at her skin like it wanted her inside. Behind her, a door appeared where the wall had been moments ago. Heavy wood, rusted handle. Options. The mirror whispered. The door moaned. She was running out of time. She chose the door. It slammed shut behind her, and the sound echoed like 1,000 screams. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer in the bell tower. She was back on the bus. But this time, every seat was filled, and every passenger wore her face. They all turned to look at her in unison, smiling, blank-eyed. The driver glanced at her through the mirror. He smirked. "Wrong choice, Mariah. Welcome back." Mariah stared down the aisle of the bus, heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. Dozens of faces, all hers, smiled with mouths that didn't quite stretch right. Their eyes shimmered with memories she couldn't remember, lives she hadn't lived. The bus jerked suddenly. Outside the windows, the landscape melted into ribbons of color. Time and space were twisting around her. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. One of the reflections, the one closest to her, stood up and walked toward her. Same face, same clothes, but the eyes, they weren't scared. They were hungry. "You were supposed to stay in the mirror," the copy whispered. "You let me out." Mariah turned and sprinted toward the back of the bus. As she passed her clones, they whispered fragments of memories. "You left us behind. You don't deserve to be the real one. We remember what you buried." She grabbed the emergency exit. It didn't budge. She kicked, pounded, then the floor beneath her gave way. The world stretched like she'd been yanked out of gravity, and she fell. Darkness swallowed her whole. When she landed, she was in a hallway, endless, mirror-lined, and in every mirror, her face again, but different each time. One crying, one bleeding, one screaming silently. She walked, afraid to look too closely. Each version of herself felt to wear, watching, waiting. Then she noticed it. One of the mirrors had no reflection, just blackness, and then a movement inside, like smoke swirling into the shape of a human. Suddenly, arms burst through the mirror, long and shadowy, grabbing for her. Mariah screamed and ran, the sound of glass cracking behind her as the mirror shattered into jagged teeth. The shadow emerged, dragging itself from the broken frame. It wore no face, only her silhouette. It whispered, "I am everything you refuse to be." She ducked into a side door out of the hallway and found herself in a circular room, its walls carved with thousands of names in rough, erratic handwriting. In the center sat a stone table, and on it, a book made of stitched leather, inked in crimson. It was open to a page. Her name was written there, Mariah Elaine Clark, but below it were scratched out entries. Mariah A. Clarkson, Maria Clark, Elaine M. So many versions, so many failures. She reached out to touch the ink, and the shadows around the room flickered. The air whispered, "Only one version survives. You must choose." Suddenly, the mirrors returned, surrounding her. A dozen now. Each showed a different her, and each held a different object. A key, a knife, a locket, a school ID, a photograph, a candle, a mask. One by one, they stepped out. She backed up, heart pounding, until her spine met cold stone. Nowhere to run. The copies circled her. They spoke together. Only one can return. Choose who you are, or we will. She dropped to her knees. The pocket watch trembled in her palm. It started ticking backward. One version stepped forward, bleeding from the eyes, holding the key. "I'm the one who took the wrong bus," she said, smiling sadly. "You're the one who let it happen." Mariah stepped forward too. The real one. Or was she? They stared at each other, and in a moment of clarity, she understood. This place didn't want her to escape. It wanted her to remember. What had she forgotten? She raised the pocket watch. It shone like a miniature sun. The ticking stopped, and then she whispered, "I don't want to be any of you." The room exploded into glass and wind and light. Mariah gasped. She sat up. Grass, wind, a sunset. She was lying in the middle of a field just outside town, her school bag beside her. The pocket watch, whole now, ticking normally. She stood up. Everything felt real again. Then she saw it. The bus. It sat silently on the road, doors open. But there were no roads leading to it. No driver. Just a message on the destination screen. Next time, choose wisely. Mariah walked a gravel path toward the town. Her legs ached, her head throbbed, but the sun on her face was real, or at least it felt that way. She reached the town's edge. It was Hollow Creek. Same old gas station. Same old ice cream shop. Her school in the distance, brick red and still. She stepped into the convenience store, looking for help. Hi. The cashier, a gray-haired man with thick glasses, froze. His gaze swept over her like he was staring through a ghost. Do you need something? He asked slowly. You know me, right? I live on Maple Street. It's Mariah Clark. He blinked. Maple Street burned down years ago. Mariah sprinted down Maple Street. Her childhood home, white porch, faded shutters, was still there. She ran up the steps and pounded on the door. It opened. A woman she'd never seen stood inside, holding a mug of tea. Yes? The woman asked cautiously. This is my house. I grew up here. My bedroom's upstairs, the second on the left. The woman stared at her, then stepped back, cautiously shutting the door. There's no Mariah here. Mariah pressed her face to the window. Her room was a nursery. Desperate, Mariah ran to her school. Inside, fluorescent lights flickered as she scanned the hallway for familiar faces. She spotted Emma, her best friend. Relief flooded her. Emma, she shouted. Emma turned, her face lit with polite confusion. Sorry, do I know you? It's me, Mariah. We've been friends since 7th grade. Emma hesitated, then laughed nervously. I don't know who put you up to this, but I don't know any Mariah. Behind her, a bulletin board read, Missing Students. 1. In the photo, it was of her. That night, Mariah sat at the edge of the woods, where the field met darkness. She clutched the pocket watch. It was ticking faster than usual, vibrating slightly in her palm. She whispered to herself, I made it back. Why does no one remember me? From the trees, headlights blinked into existence. Slowly, deliberately, the bus rolled forward, silent. Dust kicked up, but no engine could be heard. Its headlights were dim amber orbs. The doors hissed open. No driver. The destination screen. 1 seat left. Mariah stood and backed away. No, she muttered. I'm not getting on again. Then, the reflection in the bus window moved. Without her, her reflection smiled. Another her, one still on the bus. The girl in the window waved. Then she stepped off the bus, out of the glass, into the real world. And Mariah's legs buckled, because the one who stepped off looked more real, more her. She tried to speak, but the other her whispered, You were the echo. I'm the one who made it back. The next morning, the town was different. Posters of missing persons now showed another name. Unknown girl found near bus stop. Identity unclear. The woman in the house on Maple Street now called her sweetheart and asked if she wanted pancakes. The school had a seat reserved with her name. Emma smiled when she saw her. Mariah felt off, disconnected. She wasn't sure what day it was, or if this version of life was ever real. But every mirror, every reflection, still showed the other her. That night, she found the pocket watch again. It had stopped ticking. Completely, she opened it. Inside was a photo, one she'd never taken. It showed her, no, the other her, standing with the bus driver, smiling. On the back, a message, Your stop is next. She looked in the mirror. This time, the reflection didn't copy her. It waved. Mariah sat cross-legged on the attic floor of what used to be her home, now claimed by strangers. The attic was the only place untouched, still thick with dust and cobwebs. She found a box labeled Clark Family. Inside were yellowed photographs, but none of her. No birthday parties, no school dances, no smiling parents beside her. Only one photo had her face, and even that was wrong. Her smile was distorted, eyes too dark, too wide. Below it, scrawled in ink, passenger number 33 never exited. Back in her room, Mariah stared at the mirror. Her reflection no longer copied her. It moved slowly, deliberately, with a chilling smirk. Then it spoke. "You're not supposed to be here." Mariah stumbled back. "You're me." "No, I'm the one who got off. You stayed behind, remember?" "No, I got off the bus. I'm real." The reflection cocked its head. "Then why does no one remember you? Why does your photo say never exited?" The mirror began to crack, hairline fractures webbing across its surface like veins of truth bleeding through. That night, the pocket watch ticked again, and then stopped. She heard it, faint but clear from the trees beyond her window, the rumble of tires on gravel. She ran outside. The air was cold, and fog hugged the grass like a warning. There it was, the bus, waiting, still, timeless. The door creaked open, and the driver was finally there, a tall, faceless figure in a conductor's uniform. No eyes, just hollows. His voice slid from the shadows. "Passenger number 33. You're late." Mariah stepped onto bus. Her feet felt heavy, like stepping into a memory carved from stone. The interior was darker than she remembered. Seats were covered in faded names, scratched into metal with fingernails. She walked down the aisle. Her reflection sat halfway down, waiting in her seat. "I told you," the reflection whispered. "You never really left." Mariah sat down across from her. "What are we?" The reflection smiled. "Just one of us now, and one of us must ride." Mariah turned. The bus was filling. Slowly, children and teens emerged from the darkness, sliding into the seats, each pale, stiff, expressionless. Some she recognized, students from her school, kids who had vanished years ago. One girl whispered as she passed, "Once you ride twice, you never arrive." Another clutched a mirror shard in her hands. Mariah's heart raced. "Where does this bus go?" The reflection leaned in. "Know where you've been, only where you forgot." The bus rumbled forward, trees whipping past in a blur of black. Through the fog window, Mariah saw not roads but memories. Her first bike, her parents' smiles, her 8th birthday. Then, flickers of things she didn't remember. A hospital room, screams, a crash. The reflection stared at her. "We didn't survive the ride, Mariah. You never did. You've been riding this loop for years." Mariah shook her head. "No, I got off. I lived." "But who remembered you?" The reflection asked gently. Outside, a sign appeared. "Final stop, passengers only." The bus slowed. The doors hissed open. A blinding light outside. The reflection stood. "Only one of us can get off." Mariah stood too, her voice steady. "Then let it be me." The driver extended his hand. She stepped forward, then looked back. The reflection was gone. She looked down, her hand fading. She was becoming part of the bus. "I was never supposed to leave," she whispered. The driver nodded. "And now you never will."